Page Lamed Aleph, Ois Zayin. Ois Zayin. Iker ha'avodas b'Shabbos is Devikis Ubitol. Anyone who this is your first time, I don't think you should be worried. I think everything will be explained. And if it's not, we'll ask questions, but I think we'll be explained.
Yet, so we're good.
Yeah. But even this part, this is. V'hine and behold. Kivon shemahos ar haShabbos. Since the essence of the light of Shabbos, hu etzem hiskalusa yisparach bebriya, is the actual revelation of Hashem in this creation, which that line is really the review of the first six Aisiyos, in which he explained that on Shabbos what happens is there's a reality that Hashem becomes. I'm sorry, there was no. That's better. It's a reality that Hashem becomes revealed in this world. During the 6 days of the week, it appears as if there's this thing called Teva. It seems as if the world goes on its own. It appears, we feel that we're working, we're making money, the doctor's healing. Comes Shabbos, and there's the reality, whether we know it or not, see it or not, and that's what we're about to discuss. There's a reality that Hashem is revealing himself a little bit. And therefore, Azai, Ikar ha'avoda lemaisa, what is the practical thing we're supposed to be doing on each and every Shabbos b'Shabbos is to what? Liz chois lekabel es eskalus, is to merit, to be mekabel, to accept this iskalus, ulihikanes, and to enter yoiser v'yoiser, deeper and deeper, lidvekus emes b'Hashem yisbarach, to a true connection with Hashem. Mitoich, and where does this connection come from? Emuna bihira, a clear belief, bimitzi usoi v'yechudoi, and Hashem's reality in the fact that He is there. On the bottom over here, an Ois Yadality points out that what does it mean to have this absolute clear connection? It means, and I just want to read one line from Ois Yadalit, very important. Vadevekas, the connection to Hashem. Sriach lios kol kach chazaka, so strong. How strong do we need to be bound to God? The Hainu ha'adam sarich lios davuk b'Hashem yisbrach kol kach. We're so connected to Hashem. Achegam bizmane kushi v'yovish. Even in those dark, dry, difficult moments, ha'adam yishar davuk b'Hashem yisbarach. You remain connected. And how to do that, obviously, is the lifelong avodah. But what we're learning is that Shabbos, there's a reality that it's easier to connect because Hashem is more revealed. So in Shabbos is where it's all going to begin. And he continues. With more depth. From the strength of this illumination of the truth. What truth? That it's not tava, that it's not happening on its own. And where does this truth illuminate? Shemeira b'Shabbos is what happens on Shabbos. You could come to the aliyah, to the level of nullification. Now, of course, at first glance, this sounds ridiculous because what cause I realize how great God is going to be bittul. Well, of course, as we're about to explain. She shleimus advikas. What is an absolute connection? Again, this is something that a secular mind cannot understand. They would say that the greatest connection means you're great because you're connected to God. No, the exact opposite. The greatest absolute connection to Hashem means I am nothing. Because the more I'm connected to infinity, the more I realize how great infinity is, the more I realize how small I am. So it perfectly works in exact opposites. And just in the opposite, and the one who thinks that he is so great is because he does not realize that there's God, and God is so small. And therefore, oh, I'm so great. And if you go really deeper, and this goes more into psychology and other things, this is where one's ego comes from. It's where a lot of things come from. But let's stick to the text. Madregas habitul he. And what is this level of bittul, of nullification? Shaloi raksha adam margish is Hashem yisbarach. Not just that you feel God. That's nice. I just feel him. Vu mitchaberi love, and you connect him. Elu margish as Hashem yisbarach kol kach chazak ubarur. You connect to Hashem, and you feel him so strong. Adshu margish, rak is Hashem yisbarach. Not, I work hard. I have a good doctor. I have a good money manager. There's also God. No, 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 no. It's only Hashem. Obviously, Hishtadlus requires all the other things, but we have to understand that there's one singular direction and nothing else. And then, Vumevatel es argoshas mitzias atzmul of Hashem Yisparach. And you're mavatel, you make yourself nothing in front of Hashem. Nichlal boy ba'ava, and we're included in Hashem with absolute love. Zuhi avoida lemaisa. This is the practical avoida lahashkia. That wonderful word, lahashkia. When you take a brick and you sit it in the cement, it's shakua. It's sunken in. When someone says you have to be shakua and you're learning, you're mamish engrossed, nothing else matters. We have to, you know what we do on Shabbos? Lahashkia. We have to be subsumed. We have to be all the way deeply in what? B'havoidas hadvekus v'habittel, in the work of connecting and nullification to Hashem. Lihidavek b'yisparach, to connect to Hashem b'chol leiv, with our whole heart. How? How? Alidei esek ha'torah v'hatfila, via learning, via davening, v'shirais v'sishbachos, singing and praising, v'lachshay me Hashem Yisbarach, and to think, gilui oiroi, and the illumination of His light, v'sgalutz shchinasai, and the revelation of His shchina, ulahargish say, and to feel it. Zui ikar ha'avoida ha'pinimius b'Shabbos. And of course, this is, if we think about it for a moment, this is a nice chiddush. Because you tell a person, what do you do on Shabbos? You have to daven, you have to learn, you have to sing songs. Well, that's not pinimi, that's chitzoni. That's what I'm doing with my mouth. That's what I'm doing with my actions. No, 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 no. What's really Torah, Tefillah, Shira, Yisishbachos? What's really happening when one stands and says a psuke to Zimra on Shabbos like a mensch, and he gets to Anishmas and he sings Hashem's praises? What's really happening? It's not external. It's pinimi. It's internal. Ulizem nichavenes, and it can direct ha'aras Shabbos, illumination of Shabbos, lehit alois, to elevate him be'emuna habayre, in the belief of Hashem, u'b'devekus boy, and connecting to Him. So that is the next step. Is again, just to quickly make sure we have all the steps in order. Is that number one is that Shabbos comes and there's an actual illumination, and the teva and the nature is not as strong. And that's a reality. Before we open the Sefer, that's what happens. When I'm Mekadei Shabbos, it's real. I receive an Neshama Yisera. There is a more godly presence, more tangible, physical illumination of God in this world. But before we learn what we're doing, we just don't know how to connect to it. And we don't realize that via connecting to it, it's going to bring us to the greatest tainug he spoke about already, the greatest enjoyment. Where does real tainug, where does real enjoyment come from? Yes, from a good steak and Shabbos, it's true, and a good glass of wine. But the greatest tainug is a tainug of satisfaction, of complete, of being a whole, of being one. And that only could come from one who's absolutely one and complete with Hashem, which only could come the more he recognized, like we just learned, how great God is, how infinite Hashem is, and doing what? If I know this great infinite God, I can do anything. I want to connect Him. How do I connect Him? By His word. What's His word? That's His Torah, that's His Tefillah, that's His Chesed, that's His Shiras V'Sishbachos. And when you do that by being cognizant, and that's maybe the dot that we're adding on, to be cognizant that the actions that we're doing are not merely a word of Torah or a tefillah, but it's much greater than that. It's the depth of Torah and tefillah, and via connecting to it, what happens is we start to realize, hey, right, this world isn't real around us. It is a figment of our imagination. It's true. The more you sit there, and I use Psuke de Zimra as a muscle, because if you listen for a moment to your own Psuke de Zimra and you start hearing how great Hashem is, you start hearing all the amazing things Hashem does for us, and you just stop for a moment and you think, as you get to Nishmas, and you realize, wow, this great infinite God is just doing and doing and doing for me. What am I? I'm nothing. I'm not even nothing. I'm the smallest of small. I'm absolutely nothing. But you know what's amazing? That great God is holding my hand and He wants to connect to me. Wow. That feeling. And it's on a Shabbos in which we have a power to connect on this deep level. Why? Because you have this illumination. Because you have the Neshama. It's real. It's tangible. So with that dot of thoughts, we could connect on that deep level. Let's go a little bit further. We have a few more minutes. Shabbos Minucha. The Zuhi Menucha Amitis, as we just explained. And this is the true, this is the real Menucha, relaxation, peace, rejuvenation. As we say in davening, Yakiru v'necha v'yedu, your children will recognize and know. Ki me'itecha, from you, Hashem, hi menuchasam, is their rest. V'al menuchasam, and on your rest, Yakdishu Hashemecha, they're going to sanctify your name. Ki amanucha, again, he lo chitzonit bilvad. Menucha is not external. It doesn't just mean you're lying back in the recliner, oh, gishmak. And we could just, before we even go further, we could realize an external menucha doesn't last. An external menucha, eventually, you're going to watch, you're going to get, eventually you become the couch potato. Eventually it's too much. Why? If it's real menucha, if it's real enjoyment, it should never get too much. The answer is not real menucha. It's chitzoni. But over here, what we're discussing, when we get this realization of Yakiru Banecha, Elebe-ikar Menucha Penimis, the inner Menucha, Menuchas Nefesh, Hamayim Min Abayteach, the Menucha of the soul, of the one who believes, the one who understands, the one who has trust, the Ched V'aslev, and the rejoicing of the heart. Ha'oyev, the lover of Adavuk, and the one that's connected to Hashem. The Oisher Ha'adam, those words, the wealth, the opulent wealth, that what? Shezoicha, that one merits lihisbatel lebayri yisparach. Yes, the wealthiest person on earth. Ve'in dai. And now he goes a little bit deeper. It's not enough, Bishmir Shabbos v'Maisa Bovad. It's not enough. That's a level, as we've spoken about so many times. But it's not enough to just merely be shomer your actions. Lishbais, to rest, ulanuach b'malachas b'chitzonius, to not do malacha, which is a level. And we know the temptations of the world are so incredibly great. It's a level. It is an incredible level. But we're going one step deeper. We got to go all the way deep. We have to be sucked into Shabbos. We have to be enveloped by Shabbos. And we have to delight. Al Shemiras, what? Hamachshava. We have to watch our minds, V'halev, in our heart. These devukim by Yisbarach, to be connected to Hashem. Be'emes. Shezu hamenucha amitis. This is the true menucha, which of course is not counterintuitive when one thinks, what, I have to watch every word that I say? That's so difficult. That's so not menuchadik. Well, maybe at the beginning, but the more that you get sucked into Shabbos, the more you realize what Shabbos is. Like, I'm going to talk about business, it just makes no sense. What's going to make the business work? The Shabbos, Hashem. So I'm gonna handle a business deal. It's just ridiculous. So when you say it as you're learning the Sefer, it sounds so clear. Obviously, the avoid is to get there. But the more we understand it, the more that we go into the depth of it, the more that we realize that yes, we could be shomer amachshava. It's possible to do it. And then what happens, and we'll continue and conclude this introduction, what happens is Hashpas HaShabbos Al Kol HaShavua. What happens is it spills over. V'hinei ha'or ha'gadol shemeir b'Shabbos. This incredible light that illuminates on Shabbos. V'hakoyach hazeh, and this strength shenitin b'Shabbos l'neshama mois Yisrael. This incredible strength that's given to our neshama, to our soul, lahasiges yichar Hashem yisbarach, to reach and to attain this oneness with God, uli davek boy, and to connect with Him, ulis batale love, and to be null in front of Him. Einay nimsarak b'Shabbos. Don't be mistaken. Don't be saying, "Oh, what a chaval! I only could feel this on Shabbos." No, the exact opposite. Ela ora Shabbos, the light of Shabbos, which is what? Shu is galus ora hichod. On Shabbos, it's that physical illumination. The oneness of God becomes revealed. Who are timidi? Really, that's there always. What are really we doing on this world? What is life? What is the purpose of everything? Why do we get up and daven and do Torah and do tefillah? Is why? For one, is simple but very deep and difficult purpose is what? L'chapes as Hashchina, to search out, to belong, and we yearn to be connected to holiness. Ulahakir, and to recognize, uladas, and to know es havaya Hashem, uladavka, and connect Him. Uligaloisei balame, and to reveal God in this world. Allah. Shakayach, there says the strength to see this Niten lanu b'Shabbos. It's given on Shabbos. V'sarach shal yidei Shabbos kodesh. And through Shabbos, nizke, one can merit litvekis timidis. You can merit from Shabbos that the whole week you could be connected. Kol hashvua. Ubekoyach ara Shabbos. And this incredible light. Nizke lach yois ba'ar. Ha'emuna habihira b'chol hayamim. Absolute emuna, faith. Anything can happen. One can lose their job. One could have tragedy. One could have a heartache. One could not know where the next dollar is going to come from. But you're Shemer Shabbos. You're living with Hashem. You have the light illuminating your light. The whole week is going to be so light and carefree. Ki Shabbos Kodesh Misbarch and Kol Hayamim. Of course, this is the depth that on Shabbos we get the whole Shefa and Bracha and we charge the whole world for the next week ahead. Ki al af shebachol nirashish tava.
The essence of Shabbos is refraining from work. That is really the essence. It's not more of like a positive.
That's the chiddush. What is Shabbos? On Shabbos, Hashem rested, so we rest. You're asking a kasha that many of the Mefarshim ask.
To make it sound like the whole thing is that you're not working. That's the whole thing.
So all
there's always really this light in the world.
So you should know the Mefarshim ask your kasha and they say, I don't understand. On Shabbos, if everything comes from Shabbos and Shabbos recharges, you should have to do a positive action. Shabbos, you should do nothing. The answer is that by doing nothing, it allows you to connect to everything. What is everything? Is Hashem. What is really Hashem? What's really Hashem? Is Torah, is Tefillah, is mitzvahs. So by doing nothing, quote unquote, no milacha, now I consider a Shabbos too. Then guess what? When I sit there and I have a geschmack bite of meat and a wonderful glass of wine, with this hakara, with this realization of God is everything, that bite of meat, that oineg is the greatest thing. You're sitting, it says Hashem's table, Hashem pays for it. Yeah, Hashem will pay you for that steak. Why? Because you're sitting and you're reveling with God in the greatest way. In some way, yes, that's what comes out from here. Is that one is an external manifestation of one's actions. Now, actions are cheap. Actions are flimsy. Actions are fleeting. The other way is much deeper. Well, it's much harder, of course. Much harder, of course. But it's exactly what we're learning. And let's conclude. During the week, it appears like this teva. Sarich, and we need Shabbos, as Ayri, never forget the light of Shabbos, the day of Shabbos. Ela Lizkar, we have to remember, as the emes hapinimius, the true depth. She'ein milvada yisparach. And we remind ourselves of the words of the Heilige Nefesh HaChaim, Rav Chaim Volozhin, that what's ein milvada, the stories of the Vilna Gaon, the stories of all the Tzadikim, their guns fired at them, they're about to be killed. They sit there and they think, ein milvada, and what happens? The gun has no power. What does it mean the gun has no power? And as we've explained so many times, because what is ein milvada? What does it mean? It means Hashem makes everything work. The gun doesn't work on its own. What do you mean? I pull the trigger, it goes. No, it doesn't. Who decided that by I pulling this trigger that this, what cause and effect? Who decided all that? Who decided that when I drop this, it's going to fall? Hashem can say, no, it's not going to fall. It's going to suspend. So, Einon Milvado means connecting at the greatest of depths that everything is Hashem. So during the week, we remind ourselves and we go back to this internal and incredible depth and beauty that it's all God. And we enter into this truth where we take it from Shabbos and we push it into the week. And the whole week we start acting this way. And we get a life of truth. A life of faith, through devekas and connection to Hashem, and with that, Yizke lekunoisa binafshoy kinyin emes bris olam, and in Ois Yotes he says the incredible words. This is why tzaddikim are bechinas Shabbos. What's a tzaddik? A tzaddik is one that lives einoid milvadoi. A tzaddik, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, lives there, the most calm, peaceful, beautiful, happy, wealthy man. Happy, wealthy, beautiful. Rav Chaim Leib Shtaim, he doesn't have a penny to his name. 2 coffees, his ganze life. What's so happy? What's so beautiful? Where's your oinig? Why are you so happy? What do you mean? He's living with God. He's there. He is Shabbos the whole week. So he takes it from Shabbos. And that incredible illumination, he pulls it during the week. Let's see, come and we wrap it up. B'Shabbos Kodesh Hashem Yisbarach Megales Oiroi. It starts on Shabbos. On Shabbos, it's physical, it's real. Hashem pulls back the cover. Hashem turns on the lights. Umemila, and what happens? Misbatlim kol hakisuyim, all the coverings, all the gashmias, all the teva, all in reality, the trials, the tribulations, the difficulties, all those covers get null and void on Shabbos. And what happens? Vashchina mitala, and the Shechina raises up. V'nishmas Yisrael, and our incredible Heliga, holy and pure neshama does what? It's koiletes, it's emes, it's there, it's real. Our neshama feels it. We just have to feel it. Our neshama feels it. Our neshama knows it's real. Umiturayim is be'amuna, and it's elevated in faith, ubedevekis, and connection, bebitul Hashem yisparach, that we realize, what am I doing? What am I fretting about? I'm going to the office nervous. How am I going to do in this meeting? What am I doing? Hashem will give me the words. I did my ishtadlus, and that's it. Am I going to get the job? Am I not? Is the good outcome going to come or not? What am I nervous about? Hashem is going to do it. Finished. So on Shabbos, we connect to Hashem. We see that light. Umit angis Allah yisbarach. And now we can have a beautiful delight, a fleishiga, tangible, visceral delight, b'minuchas emes ve'amuna, in the incredible rest of truth and faith. Ve'or hazeh, this light, Meir will illuminate, umashbia, and it will overflow, and it will charge and recharge. Gam al yemoisachol, shenatzliach, the one will be successful. Laches ben ba'ifin yoser amiti, will live a life that's more truth. And of course, as we always remind ourselves, really what we're doing, we're learning the framework of bitachon. We're learning how to live with God, but we're learning an incredible, we'll call it maybe a trick and a key. And that's really what the Sefer is doing for us. Because we're all going to learn about Emunah and Bitachon. And we're going to spend our whole lives trying to attain it. And it's a lifelong avodah, and it's extremely difficult. And maybe we could suggest something very interesting. Maybe the reason why Emunah and Bitachon is so hard for all of us to connect to is because we're missing the key. The key is Shabbos. We're sitting there saying, I got to work on my bitachon, I got to work on believing in Hashem, I got to work on He's going to run the world, I got to work on it all comes from Him, and we have to. And we have to focus on it. But maybe, just maybe, we're missing where to plug in the plug. We're holding the plug and we're saying, I got to work on where the charge comes from, but we're not putting in the plug. We got to come to Shabbos Kodesh. Hashem illuminates the world. We get our neshama yisera. We realize what's real, and then it could overflow, and then it could charge and recharge and mashpia, and it gives shefa and bracha. And of course, who's the one that we always say, who gains the most? Not Hashem. Hashem gains also. Who gains? Not that, oh, I'm Shemer Shabbos. No, we gain. Because we will live such happy and exalted lives. B'siyata dishmai.